Hello, thank you for joining us today. I am Leah Love, and I am your host for Forum 360, where we have a global outlook from a local view. Today, we have a special guest with us, Miss Ebony Hill. She is a author, motivational speaker, corporate trainer, relationship coach, entrepreneur, and ordained minister. I don't know how you balance it all, but hopefully you will tell us today. Miss Ebony, thank you so much for joining us today. And we're going to be talking about dating in the new millennium.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for having me, Leah.
Oh, no problem. So let's just dive right into it.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and how we got to all of these accolades behind your name.
My name's Ebony, and I'm just a woman that is just on a mission to live her life, right? And live it fully. And for me, that started long before I even really thought seriously about being a wife. I believe in just living your best life, living in the present moment, right? So we want to all reach our goals. We all have dreams. And I just kind of tackled each one as they came along. And through that process, I discovered who I was, decided that, maybe I needed to make some adjustments in myself along the way, which is okay. And ultimately, that led me to the point of being in my 40s, very single, and wanting to be married. And I realized I was living my best life, but I was living it as a single woman, and that was not okay with me. So I took some steps to make some changes in my life and to actually get help with the dating process. And that led me to becoming a 45-year-old bride. And my journey was unique, but I know that I wasn't the only woman kind of stuck, and you don't have to be married. A lot of people say, is it okay to be single? Of course it is. But if you have a desire to be married, it's not like going to the university and getting a degree. If that was that easy, we'd all been married a lot earlier, right? So there were
Mm.
definitely some things I learned. I call them secrets, if you will. And those secrets are in my book, and that's what I share with a lot of single folks that I know.
And what's the name of your book?
How I went from 45 and single to 45 and married.
So tell me this writing process and how you got to the point of the physical book.
Well, actually, when I met my husband, our courtship happened very quickly. Literally, I did not know him. I met him at a meeting. We were both involved in community work. We were assigned to work together, didn't know each other. That was Thursday. That Sunday, he asked me, were we a couple? We were engaged 2 weeks after we met, and we were married in 5 months. So that's how I was the same age when I went from single to married. And it happened so quickly after waiting for so long. I knew I had to tell the story. It wasn't even really a choice. It was honestly, the Lord put it on my heart to write a story. It's like I felt like I owed it to all womankind to share my story and help someone. So it was literally an idea, an outline, and I did a voice recording and got some help even getting the book together. And within a few months, my book was done.
All right. Now you said a word courtship. A
Courtship.
lot of people do not know what that is. Can you elaborate on that for me?
Sure. So for me, my dating life was a little different because I was not sexually active during my dating life. Now, to be clear, there was a point of time in my life when I was, okay? But I realized about 10 years, 10 and a half years actually, before I met my husband, that I had to do something different. I realized that I had boyfriends, but I didn't spend time dating different men to learn what I liked. So once I decided to save myself for marriage and I began to date different individuals, without having sex. I actually learned what it was like to be courted, for a man to spend time with you and get to know you, for me to spend time with him and get to know him, and not be bedroom minded in the process.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So you have a platform called Real Talk Women, correct?
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about that.
All right. Well, I actually am a podcaster as well. So I have two avenues for Real Women Talk. I have a podcast where I just talk about issues surrounding real women. We're real women, but we don't always talk about the things that are going on in our lives. So that platform is there to kind of reach more people beyond the four walls that I might be able to speak to at any given time. The Real Women Talk sessions are actually just that. They're a group of women. We get together and we usually talk about relationships or self-care or just how we can expand ourselves. So some people might be in relationships, but they're actually not satisfied within those relationships. So it's just really a really pure, honest time for us to get together, ask our questions, and come up with some solutions on how we can tackle the questions we have about our relationships.
Okay. Um, so let's talk about relationships, right? What's
Yes.
been the biggest adjustment and transition from being single and married? Especially after you've had so much time to
Ooh.
have your own life. Like a lot of people are like, I'm set in my ways. They say
Hmm.
that at 30, right? So
Yeah.
you're at 45. I know you gotta be set in your ways, right?
Yes. Yes. The biggest, honestly, the biggest thing is compromising and learning that you can't have your way all the time. That was a challenge for me because, again, after being 45 and on your own, I definitely did what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. But there is something really beautiful about marriage. And when it's done right, marriage will stretch you. You will do things and I'd say yes to things you never thought you would say yes to. There's even times when you say no and you really want to say yes. But there is a stretching. And I say stretching, and it doesn't kill you, it won't break you, but compromise. Really hearing him out, his point of view, your husband listening to you and hearing your point of view, and coming up with something that is best for the both of you. So it's not about your way or his way, it's about our way. It's really funny because my husband and I spent several hours in a furniture store on Saturday doing just this, compromising. It took a long time, but we both ended happy. We were happy with our purchases, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think in relationships, whether it's, a dating relationship or just a friendship,
Hmm.
you have to compromise. It's okay. What am I willing to give up? What can I do to make sure that this is good for both of us?
Yes.
And it
Yes.
helps when that other person really wants to have that same attitude too, because that's
Absolutely.
where you really start to clash is when it's like, well, no, this is what I want.
Hmm. Yeah, and I actually have a section in my book where I talk about compromising versus settling. Those are two different feelings. When you settle, you feel like you've lost. You feel like there's something missing. You actually have resentment slowly building up when you settle. There's a huge difference between the two. But you said it, Leah. The art to any beautiful relationship is compromise.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good to know the difference between settling and compromising. Is that
Yes.
you said when you settle, that's when you have, what did you say?
There's a void. You feel as though you've lost something. You feel
Okay.
defeated when you settle. There's
Okay.
something like in your gut. You just don't feel right about it. An unsettled feeling when you settle. Yeah.
Now you mentioned being celibate. What was the
Yes.
hardest part of that in dating?
Honestly, it was a commitment. I made a promise to the Lord when I was ready to date differently. Like my way didn't work. I was, again, living my life on my own terms. I had boyfriends. We were sexually active at different, of course, we were dating. but it wasn't giving me the results I wanted. And I just finally said, okay, God, I guess I'll do it your way. I guess I'll actually trust you totally and go ahead and save myself for marriage. So once I made that commitment, it was actually very easy. The hard part was when I actually liked someone and got close to them, and you think they might be the one to marry, and you don't know how long you're going to be abstinent. You don't know. So it would have been, if I had known that I would have been abstinent for 10 and a half years, I would have never, ever signed up for it. Okay. I'm being totally honest, but God knew not to let me know. There, who would sign up for that? I mean, come on, right? So the not knowing like when your commitment to being abstinent, you don't know when that's going to end.
Yeah.
And you kind of want it to end early. I definitely didn't want to wait as long as I did. But one thing I have to share with you, when I met my husband, and of course we clicked really fast, our love grew very fast. I told him, and I still tell him, that if I had to wait another 10 years for him, I would do it. It was so worth the wait.
That is awesome. And I appreciate your honesty because a lot of times you don't get to have that the candid conversations with people
Hmm.
because they want to keep a certain look, an appearance that, everything was easy breezy. And I'm like,
No,
I know it was hard for you.
it was hard. Listen, there were days that I cried. There were days that I just wanted to just forget everything. But honestly, because it was a covenant, it was a commitment with the Lord. And after a year or two, I didn't want to start over. I didn't want to start my journey over. I didn't know if I would have to, but I felt like I was in too deep. Like, 6 months in, I didn't want to repeat those 6 months again. So can you imagine year six? I'm like, I can't do this time over.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. So that's what kept me going.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Somebody has been married and, they thought they were with the love of their life. And now they're going through divorce and they're afraid to get back out there.
Yeah.
And talking to some people, and I call them lies because I feel like sometimes we tear our own selves down. And
Mhm.
so some of the lies of somebody over 40 is no man is going to be attracted to me. There's no men out there for me to date. I'm too old. I can't compete with these young girls. What
Hmm.
would you tell to that woman who just needs some advice to get back out there? That it's not too late. They're not too old. They still are sexy and cute, fine.
You said it, right? I think honestly, it's the same whether you're single, whether you're divorced, whatever the case may be. I know from girlfriends that I know that've gone through divorce, they have an extra weight that they carry because of the death of the marriage. I can't speak to it firsthand because I've not been in that situation. But as a woman who is dating, uh, it's scary for everybody. But you have got to know who you are. The first chapter in my book is be honest with yourself. That is a word that could speak to so many different areas and angles, but you have to know yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to know that you're beautiful. And that confidence will help you enter any room. It'll help you through any date or life situation. And the second chapter in my book is meet God right where you are. I told everyone if I had to pick three I have 13 chapters in my book. If I've had to pick three, it would be the first three. Be honest with yourself, meet God right where you are, and get help. You don't have to have it all together to meet God right where you are. In your brokenness, in your sadness, in your confusion, in your doubt, you have to have a connection with the Lord. I don't know how people make it without it. This
Mhm.
is my recipe, right? It works. But being confident with yourself, you're never in competition with another woman. That is a lie. Like you said, those are lies that we're told. So it doesn't matter how old the woman is. It doesn't matter what she looks like. There's always going to be somebody smarter than you, prettier than you. But you've got to believe in you. And when you meet your right guy, there's always going to be other women around, But if your man is really for you, he's going to be committed to you, just like you'll be committed to him. But you've got to know that for yourself. Your husband can't do that for you.
Perfect. And if you are just tuning in, we are talking to Miss Ebony Hill about dating in the new millennium and her book 45 and Single to 45 and Married. All
Yes.
right. So, you mentioned about just having that confidence.
Yes.
A lot of times they just don't know how to get it back. What are just some
Mm.
things that they could do at home to help reboost that confidence and how to trust themselves again and, believe in themselves again?
Yeah, honestly, it's the self work. There's no perfect recipe for every woman, but again, I go back to being honest with yourself. You've got to do a self inventory. If there's something within you that you know you need to do for yourself, do it. If you need to lose weight and you feel like that's what you need to do it. That's going to definitely raise your confidence level, right?
Mhm, mhm.
If you feel like you need to exercise more, do it. If you feel like you need to connect with a faith-based organization, do that. If you feel like you need to read more, do that. If you feel like you need better friends, get some. I mean, like whatever it is you feel like you need to do it. That I mean, it's absolutely very simple. It's not always easy to do, but that's what you do. You do the next right thing for you. As you begin your journey, you're going to again start believing in yourself again. Um, in my book, I talk about, are you approachable? A lot of times women say, well, nobody comes up to me. Well, dear, are you approachable? Do you look like a woman who wants to be approached? Are you walking around in yoga pants with a ponytail in your head? Well, that tells me you're on a mission. You're going to exercise, you're going to Walmart, but it may not send a signal to a guy that, hey, look at me, I'm on the market, right? These are things we have to do for
Now,
ourselves.
listen, this is a problem I have. And I'm
Okay,
like, I
okay,
know I smile at everybody. And I'm like, I
yes,
think I'm approachable,
yeah, yeah.
but nobody approaches me.
Okay. Well, honestly, it could be something else. It could be something else. Sometimes, as women, especially those of us that are business minded women, we are always on the move. Maybe we're
I know,
moving too fast.
I
We
know.
might just be walking too fast. Listen, I'm telling you, these are simple things, but we're just busy hurrying around. You might smile, which a lot of women don't smile. But again, have you slowed down enough? Sometimes we have to change our patterns. If we're going to the same grocery stores, the same Starbucks, we're just in a little rut of where we go. We go to the same places all the time. Sometimes you need to change it up. It might even be something as simple as time of day. Guess who's at Home Depot on Saturdays? Do you know who's there? Men, all kind of men. But they're there on Monday, they're there on Tuesdays, they're on it's Home Depot is like a man mecca. Okay. So the heart,
Oh,
Lowe's,
y'all
these
hear that,
kind of
single ladies? You need to go to Home Depot.
I mean, yes, there are women there too, right? But those are guys, and you know what? That tells me that's a man who either has a home or he's working on somebody else's home,
Got a
right?
skill.
Come on, that's better than
Mhm.
some of these dating apps, right? Just go to Home Depot. Even a place like a gas station. Now, trust me, there's going to be all different type of men at the gas station, but for some reason, there's always a bunch of guys at the gas station. Who knew, right? Simple things. So maybe instead of pumping your gas at 2 in the afternoon, maybe you go at 7 in the morning. Guess who's at the gas station at 7 in the morning? Men that are on their way to work. Simple things. So again, we can talk more offline. I definitely can give more information. And again, in my relationship coaching, we talk about these things. It's very practical. This whole love marriage thing can be very confusing and very disappointing. But sometimes we just need to make some minor tweaks to put ourselves in a better position to date or maybe connect with the type of guys we want.
Now, you mentioned relationship coaching. Talk to me a little
Yes.
bit about that you offer.
Okay. So I actually coach alongside with my husband. We are both available. So you get the two for the price of one, if you will, the male perspective and female perspective. That was essential for me. In my book, chapter number 3, Get Help, I actually had relationship coaches. They taught me so much about myself. And even about being vulnerable. That's something as a single person, you don't have to be vulnerable as a single. You can kind of like be who you want to be out in the world and then go home and, you know, you don't have to share. When you're married, you have to share. Okay. You have to open up.
Mhm.
And so just having that experience of being vulnerable with my relationship coaches helped me tremendously. I didn't even know that I wasn't being vulnerable. I thought I was, but until I allowed people to really um, look into my life and give me honest advice and feedback from people that I knew and trusted. So again, I offer the same service. You need someone sometimes to come alongside you and ask you the tough questions, ask you questions and help you to process. And you get to do that from another person's perspective. When you're single, you have the party of me, myself, and I. And as long as the three of us agree, you go forward. But sometimes folks will ask you, well, why do you do that? And you're like, oh, you don't even know that it's weird, or maybe that it's not the right thing to
Yeah,
do. But you
yeah.
need someone to come alongside you and coach you and help you through that process.
You know, I firmly believe in any area that you're trying to grow and develop that you need a coach.
Yes.
And I had always heard this analogy about LeBron, and he's my favorite player. So I just love to use his analogy as well.
Yeah.
Is that as great as he is, he still
Hmm.
has a coach.
That's right.
Um, and so it only makes you better in whatever area that you're trying to grow. So, what are the ways that people can get a hold of you? How can they reach you?
Sure. My website is bookebony.com, bookebony.com. You can absolutely reach me through my website. My email address is bookebonyhill@gmail.com. That's definitely where you can reach me. The thing about coaching is that you already have everything you need. There's nothing broken. There's nothing wrong with you. Singleness does not equal sadness, but there may be some adjustments that you need to make to help yourself be a better candidate or to connect with a better caliber of individual, if you will. And that is definitely something we talk about. I don't want anyone to walk away thinking like, oh my gosh, it's never going to happen for me. If you want to be married, if you want to be in a beautiful, healthy relationship, it is available for you too. And we talk about that in our coaching sessions as well.
Okay, a beautiful, healthy relationship. What are
Yes.
some traits of that? What do those traits look like of a beautiful, healthy relationship?
Well, first of all, after 3 years of marriage, do you see this smile on my face? That's one of them. It feels good. It feels right. Let me tell you what a healthy relationship is not. When you're frustrated, when you're confused, when you're disappointed, when you're angry, when you're sad, that is not a healthy relationship. Now, healthy relationships, are you going to be upset sometimes? Yes. Are you going to be angry sometimes? Frustrated? Yes. But that is not the primary state of your relationship. You should be happy. You should look forward to being with the person you're in a relationship with. You should smile a lot, right? It should make you feel good. Oftentimes, we get so stuck in dysfunctional relationships that when we encounter someone and we have a good relationship, it feels foreign to us. And so, yes, thank you for asking that question. It feels right. And we can again unpack that a little bit more. But when it doesn't feel right, it's not. When it feels right, probably is.
All right. And what is one secret from your book that you think is your favorite little nugget for people?
Oh, my favorite nugget. I've said it a lot. I'm going to say it again. Being honest with yourself. Again, you have to know this thing for yourself. Society tells women that you're too tall, you're too short, you're too big, you're too small. You don't take enough initiative, you're too bossy. Everything that you think you are, there's a opposite response in society to confuse you. Your mother, your father, your family may pressure you to get married and have a baby. Your friends may be getting married all around you. As women, we really feel a lot of pressure when it comes to dating and marriage and children. And you have to really know it for yourself. You might go through this, read my book and say, hey, I don't want to be married. I'm okay being single, and that's okay. But what do you really want?
Well, thank you so much. We really hope you all sit down, figure out what it is you want. Those are you who are getting ready to go out and start dating again. There is still
Yes.
hope. There's still light at the end of the tunnel if you want to get married. If not, live your best life being single. And we want to thank Miss Ebony Hill for coming on and sharing with us about dating in the new millennium.
Thank
I hope
you.
you all have a blessed week and stay safe. I'm your host, Leah Love, and thank you for tuning in to Forum 360, where we have a global outlook from a local view.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.